There we go. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. I hope everyone is well. I'm starting to feel better. I can talk. So I can talk enough that hopefully you guys can understand me. Hello, Stacy. Hello, everybody. Okay, so I've been playing in my crafts room, just to get out of my head. You know, that's how I deal with pain, like a lot of you guys. I will come into my craft room and just shut my mind off of everything. Oh God, sorry. Yeah. So I was playing around. I did post this mesh. This color mesh is a new color. This is a wide stripe. Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. I don't want to show my face. My face is kind of swollen and everything. So, this is a new wide stripe smoke blue. It's a horizontal wide stripe. I used the hot pink last week or the week before. Hello, everybody. Thank you. I'm going to try not to talk too much, because if I talk too much, then my mouth is really going to be sore. Now, with this is the exact color of my seating outside on my deck. So I have a few walls, and I want to make some really pretty flowers in these colors. So I'm going to do a few different flowers with this color. But like I said, I was playing around. Now, I did contact the manufacturer of this mesh because on the front of the package, it does say that it is 10 inches by 10 yards, okay? And I was told by the manufacturer, they give or take a ½ an inch. Well, when you're making flowers, specifically flowers that need a perfect square, you actually have to cut your petal into a perfect square, right? So all I can tell you guys, and I do this myself, is don't go by what's saying here, okay? Because obviously it's not, you can't go by that anymore. Measure out your roll. If you're making a wreath, a flower wreath that needs a square petal. Because I found out that this horizontal straight mesh, and I got the green here too, all the colors that I got in, they are indeed 10.5 inches wide. Okay, it says 10. Please make sure, so you don't waste your roll. Do not cut the whole roll until you measure it. Okay, I would hate anybody to waste their mesh, especially like an expensive poly burlap or something. Now, poly burlap seems to be 10 inches by 10 yards. I've never had a problem with that. This is a newer mesh. It's called horizontal wide stripe. And all of them that I got in, I have measured, and they all have been indeed 10.5 inches. So I'm not going to argue with the manufacturer. That's going to get me nowhere. All I can do is educate you guys and tell you, measure your mesh before you cut it. Okay, that is your your warning for today. Anyways, with this petal, I do need a perfect square petal, and I'm going to wood burn it. Now, wood burning, you've probably seen many times. You can wood burn or you can heat seal. Because this mesh is 10.5, I am going to cut my pieces at 10.5, so I have a perfect square. So what you need, and we're going to be seeing the edges. So when you're doing a petal like this and you don't want to see the edges, you're going to want to heat seal or wood burn your mesh, and that seals the plastic, so it kind of melts the plastic from fraying. Okay, and the best way to do that is, like I said, a wood burner or a heat impulse sealer. Now you want to do this on a glass board or a metal board, like even an upside down cookie sheet that you can mark, you know, 10 inches, 10 and a half. And try and put something underneath if you're using it over top of your cutting mat, because your cutting mat is plastic and rubber, right? And it will warp, and they're expensive. So what I do is I just put one of these thick cardboard, white cardboard envelopes under mine, and then I can see the numbering better as well. So you can see the numbers at the bottom. I bought this tempered glass cutting mat on Amazon. I think I have a link to it on Lori's Favorite Tools. And this is just a walnut hollow wood burner. Very, it's inexpensive. You can get them on Amazon really cheap. I had one before that had the dials where you could, you know, go low or high. This one is just on and off. It works just as well. Actually, it works better, I find. And just the tip, it's just the thick tip that actually is normally on the wood burner. That's all you need to use, okay? What you're going to want to do is, we need a perfect 10 and a half by 10 and a half. I kind of marked, oh, and this is a soldering iron holder, so it's metal. And I just bought this off Amazon too, and I just use it to hold my wood burner so I don't have to lay it down and it won't melt anything. So what I've done is I just put a little bit of a pink line at the 10 and a half. And what you're going to do is you're going to go, and what's the nice thing about here is this cuts really well. Like this mesh cuts really well with the wood burner. And we're just going to go in between these thicker stripes. Let me see if I can go down a bit. Okay. So I need to do it at 10 and a half. So right where this pink is, that is 10 and a half there. You're just going to go take your flat part, because it's kind of beveled. You're just going to take your thing and just go straight down between the lines here. And it's cutting the actual threading that's in there. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of melted the plastic at the ends, so it won't fray as bad, okay? I don't know if this is on my list. It was just like an idea I had, and it's like, oh, I bet you that'll work, because the stand that usually comes with these, it's just a little metal, like L-shaped stand, and it really doesn't hold the tool very well. So this was less than 20 bucks. So just type in a soldering iron holder. Okay, so we're just going through just like that. Alrighty. So once you've measured your mesh to make sure what it is, for this petal, we're going to cut the whole roll. Now I've already cut some, I've already started because I knew I didn't want to talk too long. I'm just going to put this over to the, so yeah, see how it just sits in the holder like that, and it's all metal, so nothing will melt or anything. All right, now the petal. This is the center I'm going to be using for this flower. I'm going to make different flowers, but not today, but I will be making them throughout the week, hopefully. I also cut this. Oh yes, please don't forget to wear protection. Absolutely. Thank you, Mary. If you're cutting it like downstairs, I'm in a secluded area. I would wear a respirator and goggles, because the plastic, when it burns. Now this plastic doesn't smell as bad as poly burlap. I noticed it's not, you're not burning as much plastic for some reason. I don't know. It just doesn't smell as bad, but still there is a toxicity. It's plastic. Wear a respirator, open up your windows, do it outside, whatever you can, and keep your animals away from you when you're doing wood burning and heat sealing, because they're very sensitive to it. And I know that for a fact, because my little one is very sensitive to smells, to anything. And if I would burn, she goes berserk if she's down here. So I also cut 8 pieces of this gorgeous sage. It's the same kind of mesh, the horizontal stripe. And I am going to be using green, just 8 pieces on the outside. Okay, so let me put this up. Do you guys understand me okay? I know it sounds like I have a mouthful of marbles, but today's really like the first day my tongue has, the swelling's gone down on my tongue a little bit that I can actually talk. Okay, so I have the large board. Oh, sage is a huge color. I have so much stuff in sage coming. We even have a sage colored Christmas tree kit coming, which I'm so excited about. Okay, I sound good? Okay, good. I'm glad you guys can understand me. All right, so I am going to use some clips. Now, for the green, I'm just doing a plain Rita petal, okay? So Rita petal is you're going to take your mesh. I can move this now. Take your mesh, curl up, take your top, bring it to the bottom, your corner. See, this makes, you can see that it was 10.5 because when I measure up, I cut these at 10.5, and when you bring the sides together, they measure up perfectly. So this mesh is 10.5 inches. I don't care what the wholesaler says. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clip the corners, the top 2 corners here. And this is just for the leaves. The petal is going to be a little bit different. Okay, these 2 corners are the most important. Okay, these are what you're going to see, not the bottom corner. And this is just a full Rita petal. Well, that's what we call it. And what I'm going to do is take the bottom corner and scrunch right up the middle. Just like that. So you got kind of like these pointy wing looking things. Okay, and I'm going to flip it up. And you get a really pretty petal. So that is a full Rita petal, okay? Just like that. And that's what I'm going to be doing on every, you guys can see what I'm already started, every other outside hole on row 1. So I am putting some green. So I'm using the hole to the outside of the board, okay? Putting my mesh where I've pinched this, putting it right down on the middle between the two, between the head and the tail of the zip tie, and going around. And just zip it up. Now this, like I said, this is a full Rita. Or it's also called a pointed sunflower petal as well. So you can make a really pretty flower just with this petal. So again, I got one more to make. I skipped this one. I'm going to this one. Take the top corner, bring it down to the bottom corner. Line up your edges. Again, the top 2, you can see, the top 2 corners are what you're going to be looking, that is what you're going to see of this petal. So just make sure they're joined and as perfect as you can. Don't worry about your point down here if it's off a little or skewed. It's not a big deal. It's these top 2 that it's a big deal for this one, okay? And then I'm going to, again, pinch just right up the middle like a pleat. Flip it up. When you flip it up, when I flip them up, what I'm looking at is the 2 top corner here, and I'm adjusting in the middle to make sure they're about the same length, okay? Once you got them about the same length, take where you've folded here, put it right on the board, and just go around. Now, if you're doing a full Rita petal on your whole flower, you would do that petal just like I did and stick the nub into row 2. Okay, so that is how I did the green petals. Now, these blue petals, you can see they look like the Rita petal, right? But they're all going the same way. So you can see they're all going to the left here. And I want to show you how I did this. Now, you may think it's a half a rita petal because a lot of people will cut this in half and take this one and bring it over so you have two pieces that are all going the same way. Or you can do a half a rita petal and do different colors. You've seen that. This one, I wanted all one color, but I wanted all the petals going the same way without having to cut them in half. So, what I was playing with, this is the 10.5 by 10.5. Again, always make sure when you're starting that your serged or finished edge is the same place all the time. So mine's always the top left. My right hand is the tattoo. So you can see my finished edge is always at the top. Doesn't matter what petal I'm making, I get in a habit to make sure, because there's some petals you don't even realize that it does make a difference. So if you don't even think about it, you won't have to worry about it if that happens, if you're making that petal and you forgot. Sorry, I just got to get a drink here. Okay. Okay, here we go. Here's how I made this petal. I took curl up, all right, top down to the bottom. We're going to do it just like the rita petal, where I'm going to use little clips. You can use clothespins. I just got these little sewing clips I got on Amazon. We want to make sure that the corners I'm back for today. We'll see how, I haven't talked this much in over, well, in a week. So we'll see how my jaw does after this. Okay, so this is what you got, right? Just looks like the rose petal or rita petal or whatever. Now what you're going to do is folding this bottom corner up. So you can use your cutting mat. So I have the corner on the 10 inch here. Zoom in. I'm going to fold it up about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to fold this up just like this. Okay. That's about 2.5 inches. And I just look at, it doesn't have to be precise. I just look at my cutting mat like this. And now I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to bring it over. Just like this. And you're going to adjust it so all you're looking at is these two corners, that they're the same length. And they are not on top of each other, but it's a V shaped there. Okay? And see how I did that? So we got the triangle, fold that bottom corner up, and then fold, this is my right hand, fold it over just to about that the two tips are about the same length, like that. And then what you're going to do, once you got your two tips at the same length, we're going to scrunch right here. So this long part right here, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And this is what you get. You get a straight petal and then one kind of curved petal. And we're going to put this nub. Do I seem good? Like I said, today's the first time I've really talked. We'll see how much swelling after I'm talked goes on. Now I'm going to take my nub and just put it in about a fingertip into my preloaded large board and zip it up. So, it almost looks like, to me, shark fins. Doesn't it look like kind of shark fins? But it's a really cool petal, and both sides, you have to put the petal in the same way every zip tie, but both petals have the factory edge exposed. So you won't, even though we wood burned, I do highly recommend wood burning, it makes a really nice, neat petal with all going the same way. So, like I said, one petal goes straight, and then the top petal kind of curves like a shark fin. So it's kind of cool. It's like a Rita petal, but not really. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, 10.5 by 10.5. Serged edge on my top left. Let's bring that corner, top corner, down to the bottom. Don't worry about if it's not lined up, but you do need to make sure your points are on point. That's what's important. But if you've done a complete square, everything will line up. And that's how I figured out the mesh was wrong, because I was cutting it at 10 inches and nothing was lining up. Okay, and now I'm going to fold this up 2.5 inches. Fold it up. Okay, now you're going to take your right and just flip it over. And it kind of lines up at the bottom here anyways, but more so we want to make sure that the tips, okay, that the tips of this are the right length. So just adjust down here. And then once you got them, because if you fold up 2.5 inches and fold it over the same way, your petals will be the exact same every time. Okay? And we're not going to scrunch down here, but we're going to scrunch down to the right side here 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. Okay? If you do that, every petal will be exactly the same. It's a little bit of math in wreathing. I bet you guys didn't even know that, right? And I make sure, because you got the straight petal, and then you got the one on top kind of curves. When you put your petal in, put the top one just a little over the neighboring one. Fingertip length. And there we go. Okay, it's pretty easy, but it's kind of cool. It's going to take a roll of mesh. So I will we'll count when I'm done. Now I have pre-done with my little elastic bands. I've pre-done petals. I was doing this yesterday when I was in a ton of pain. You can do this petal on anything. I think I'm going to use it for a butterfly. I have this really cool design. I've sketched out and I've used my paper template. It's going to be pretty intrinsic, but it's going to have a lot going on, but I think I'm going to use this petal for it. So when you're putting the petal in, you just want to make sure that your petals are going in the same way. So we want the curve always going to whatever way. You can do it this way, but if you can tell, if you put it upside down. So I made it so it's going to the left, right? If you flip it over, it's going this way, but your cut edge is exposed. Okay, so make sure when you're putting your petal in that you look to make sure that the factory edge is at the top. And then you're just putting it in, fingertip. It's been raining, but oh, hi Virginia. How are you, my love? Okay. So that's row 3. So row 2, we did all the holes. So 16 petals. Row 3, I did 8 petals. Okay. Row 4, we're going to do 8 petals. Isn't this color stunning? Yeah, I have a couple more petals I have to make. I'll make them again in a sec. Okay, again. If you do 10.5 and your mesh, or if you do 10 inches and your mesh is 10.5, you won't get a perfect square. Now, saying that, if you do cut your mesh at 10 inches by accident, not all is lost, because Like I said, it's the top two corners that are the most important. At a 10-inch with a 10.5-inch length, you won't get a perfect square, but you can still salvage it. And I'll show you in 1 second. So we're just going to put all these in. Oh, I did it wrong. So you can see already, I just made a mistake. I make some mistakes. Got to make sure you're putting your petals that go in all the way around going the right direction. Thanks, Virginia. Why is... Okay. So I put this in wrong, and I noticed because my serged edge, it's got to go in this way. So make sure all of them are going the same way. So just go down and up. And then I'll make a couple more petals. I am okay. We'll see how I am after this, because this is the most I've talked in almost a week. All right, so that is row 4. Now row 5. Now I probably can get away with, because this is going to be my center. So it's a very neutral, pretty wreath. I am going to do row 5 because you do see some of the board here. So I'm going to preload the normal holes and then the shared holes. And when I flip it over, you'll see it looks like stitching going around. So we call it shared holes because there's already a zip tie there. But we are going to put another one going down and up. So that's why we call it shared. Again, and your best results are if you do heat seal. Tracy, I had pretty 5-hour mouth surgery. This mesh, what do you mean the number? If you just type in horizontal wide stripe and unique in the creek, the colors we have will pop up. We are getting a lot more colors in the first week of June, but they're slowly trickling in. All right, so I do need, when you flip it over, you can see it looks like stitching here. And I did every other for my green. You don't have to do green. I just think the sage green and the smoke blue looks really, really pretty together. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 more petals we have to do. I have 1 petal here. Make sure it's going in the right way. And then once this is done, we can pull these up a bit, and that's more 3D. So it very much looks like a Rita petal without cutting them in half. Okay, so the petal again. Okay, top, bring it down. I will cut a piece of mesh at 10 inches, and I will show you, just in case, you know, you cut your mesh at 10 inches, it's 10.5, you don't want to waste it, but you still want to do this petal. I'll show you in a sec. So, again, these 2 corners are your most important. Okay, doesn't matter if it matches up down here, just make sure the matches up there, flatten it out. We're going to take this corner and flip it up about 2.5 inches. I take my right side, I'm folding it over, and you see that V shape. You got the one petal going straight and this one's going a bit crooked, and then right here is where we're going to scrunch 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Okay, like I said, if you do it like this, you will get the same petal every time. Sticking to each other. And then we're going to put it in. Now, I wouldn't go, you can go in about a fingertips or just a little less than a fingertip, because you don't want to totally cover up your 2 holes in the center. Okay? Yeah, Bubba and Dave, they did an amazing job. They need to be regulars. They're so funny because they have not a clue what they're talking about. Not at all. They're hilarious. Okay, I got it. Wood burn 2 more pieces. I think we have It's a Boy. I'm not sure. Okay, I have 2 more pieces. But I will cut, like I said, I will cut a 10-inch so you guys can see. But I'm cutting mine at 10.5 because I want, this is a flower from my back porch, so I want to make it really pretty. So that's 10.5. And when you're cutting your mesh, you want to make sure your bottom is lined up. You don't want to be cutting it where it's crooked like this, or you want to make sure that your edge at the side is lined up, and you're also at your bottom is lined up. So you get a really precise square. And like I said, this stuff is really cool to cut with this. It cuts really nicely. All right, I'm going to cut a 10-inch one right now, and I'm going to show you if you don't have it perfectly square. Okay, I think I could shut this off now. The 2 of them are hilarious. Try living with them. Oh, Lord. They're all like that all the time. Okay, so this is our 10-inch by 10.5-inch piece. So when I bring this down, you'll notice, see, I don't care what the manufacturer says, that is not 10.5. This is 10 inches. Can you see how when I lined up the corner here, if it was 10-inch roll, this would all match up. You can see the big gap here. So measure your mesh. All is not lost, like I said. Just make sure that these corners are matched up. Okay? As best as you can. Flatten it. Now you'll see that the bottom will not match up because it's not a perfect square, but that's okay, because for this petal you won't be able to tell. So we're going to flip it up at about 2.5 inches, turn it to the side, bring it over, line this up, and then 3 scrunches. So it looks exactly the same. So I guess if you were doing this petal and you want to kind of save mesh, you could cut it at 10 inches to save some mesh. Because as you can see, nobody would be able to tell the difference. As long as your points line up. I'm going to use this piece because there's nothing wrong with it. All right, one more. One more. Now, this should line up perfectly because it, as you can see, it is cut at 10.5 inches. So that's the difference. So if you were doing a Dean Michael fold, that petal needs to be precise. Okay, we'll do about 2.5 inches up, flip it, and again, we're just making sure that the tips are lined up. And then 1, 2, 3. Easy, right? And this is the last one. And we'll go back and count. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, this color is stunning. We also have this color in poly burlap and in fabric mesh. So if you want, you can bring it up, bring these petals up a bit so they're not so flat. All right, so look how pretty that is. Make sure they're all going the same way. Alrighty. Isn't it pretty? So like it does look like the Rita petal, but without cutting or anything else, and they're all going the same way. So we use 16. This is my wreath, so I'll write on it. 16, 8, 8, and 8. So we used 40 pieces of mesh. So you need 1 and a little bit, because there's 360 inches in 10 yards, right? So we got 16, 32, 40. So you would have to open another roll if you wanted to do like I did, because that would be 400 inches. Well, no, it would be more. Yeah, you'd probably need a roll and a quarter to do this, okay? And then I did 8 green. So 16, 8, 8, and 8. I don't know, what should we call it? It kind of looks like a shark fin. I don't know. Kind of a Rita petal, but it's pretty cool and very easy. And now I'm going to I have this, I'm keeping it all neutral. I'm going to add this rope center I made just on a 5.5 inch half ball. This is rope that you can get from Hobby Lobby. It's a braided rope. And on the back, I just used a cable mount and a pipe cleaner. The cable mount works really, really good on styrofoam. It kind of melts into the styrofoam. Shark bite. Fin petal. Yeah. But it's kind of cool because one goes straight and one doesn't. Okay, and now let's put our center in. The Dave petal. Fake Rita petal. All right, so I'm just cutting off the excess, and then I'm just going to put the remainder of the pipe cleaner back down these holes so we have nice and neat. We're going to put a hanger right here and the 2 holes that are close together on row 1, and make a hanger, and there we go. That's gorgeous. Yes, it's very beach looking. And then we'll move around our petals. I usually do this when it's on the door, but I'll take a picture of it I'm going to put this one on my back wall behind my outdoor couch, because literally my couch cushions outside are this color. Now it kind of looks neat because we have the Rita petal that has going different ways, but it's quite an easy petal to make. And there's the side view, so obviously it's going to fit between 2 doors. And that's it. So a roll and 1/4 of your mesh. You can definitely do this with, this mesh is probably one of the best. It's cheaper, but you can definitely do it with poly burlap, this petal. Let me see if you can do it with, here, I have a piece of poly burlap. Here's a piece of poly burlap. Let's see what it looks like. It's not wood burned, but bring this up about 2.5 inches. Flip this over. Oh yeah, it works really nice with poly burlap as well. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Yes, ombre. I am going to do a really cool butterfly. I've been planning this butterfly for a bit now, but I think I am going to use this petal for the butterfly I am going to be doing. Fabric mesh, let me see. Do I have some fabric mesh? Okay, here's a green fabric mesh. Let's see how it works with fabric mesh. I'm sure it will. I'm not going to heat seal this or anything. I'm just going to cut it. I really don't know how wide this is, but all mesh will fade, Kathy. All will fade. You can prevent some of the fading by spraying a Scotch Guard on it. This is like what you would use on outdoor furniture. It's water and sun shield with UV protector. This will help prevent it, but it's like anything. Outdoor furniture will fade. Anything will fade in the sun. Okay, this is fabric mesh, and this is pretty close to the inside of the fabric mesh, so it's pretty curly. But let's give it a try. Corner. I have a feeling this mesh was 10.5 inches, but that's okay. Now it's not lined up at the bottom, but that's okay. We've seen how it does work anyways. I'm going to flip this up about 2.5. One, two, three. Yeah, it works nicely with fabric mesh. Look at that. So there you go. What did we find out what it's just reading some of the comments. Oh yes, are they back on? That's why I did my flower at lunch break, because I'm watching the trial. It's like the OJ trial. Can't stop watching it. Okay, so have a try. I don't know what we should call this. The Bubba? Should we call this petal the Bubba? Why not, right? The Bubba. Double Bubba. I don't know. But it's a great thing, and I can't wait to use it on the butterfly, because if you can, you know, a butterfly, the top, we'll have the tops going like this way, and then we'll do the bottom kind of going downwards, so it will give it dimension. So we'll have the butterfly petals all going up, the top all going up this way, and then the bottom's one's going down this way. It'll look pretty cool. But there it is. The Bubba Petal. Let's call it the Bubba Petal. Oh, did Michelle use this petal? I've never seen anybody do it like that. I'll have to ask her. Anyways, well, that's how you do it. Makes a really, really pretty flower. Fairly easy to do. I would recommend wood burning or heat sealing. Bubba, the Bubba Petal. I like that. My Bubba. He's a good boy. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and hopefully, VIPs, I'll hopefully see you guys tonight if my mouth doesn't swell back up and I can't talk again. If I'm feeling bad, still feeling up to it, this week I'll be doing one of the kits, the Welcome Sunflower or the Flamingo, I can't remember. And we also have a whole bunch of kits being released tomorrow, I think at 3 o'clock. But I definitely have a butterfly that you guys will not want to miss. And I will let you guys know when I'm going to be doing that. Okay? Anyways, I can't wait to see what you guys do. Post them in Unique Wreath Creators. Make sure you maybe put a watermark on your pictures, because I know the social media team is going through all the pictures posted in Unique Wreath Creators to feature a bunch of you on all our social media platforms. Okay? All right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed, and I will talk to you soon again. Bye, everybody.